We looked at some of the other races tonight, and in the gubernatorial Republican primary, with precincts reporting, right now it stands Andy McKenna at 22%. Now listen how close these numbers are. Kirk Dillard at 19%, Jim Ryan at 17%, Bill Brady at 17%, Adam at 15%,
Wow.
Croft at 8%, and there's Schillerstrom is showing up as well. In the Senate race, with 47% of the precincts reporting, they got Mark Kirk at 59%, Hughes at 18%, Lowry at 9%, and then it's Thomas, and then Martin, and Arrington is all the way down at the bottom at 3%. But at least we don't have to fault anybody for breaking up the conservative vote, because Kirk's taking a clear majority. In the 8th Congressional District, with 74% of the precincts reporting, coming in first right now is Joe Walsh at 33%. When I'm done here, I'm going to Wakanda. All right. Dirk Beveridge is at 26%, Maria Rodriguez is at 21%, and the others are falling out the way you'd expect, with Geisler and then good Lord, Dawson and then Jacobs down at the bottom. And in our race, with all precincts reporting, I'm at 38.9%. Sandy's at 61.1%. I just called Sandy's cell phone and left a voice message. Congratulated her. I want to share a few thoughts with you. I've been working on these for a few weeks. So I want to start with it.
Make sure you got the concession.
I got it.
They got the winner on the other side.
No, that's actually. I left the victory speech in the office. All right. I want to start with a quote. When the time comes, as it surely will, when we face that awesome moment, the final judgment, I've often thought, as Fulton Sheen wrote, that is a terrible moment of loneliness. You have no advocates, you're there alone, standing before God, and a terror will rip your soul like nothing you can imagine. But I really think that those in the pro-life movement will not be alone. I think there'll be a chorus of voices that have never been heard in this world, but are heard beautifully and clearly in the next world. And they will plead for everyone who's been in this movement. They will say to God, spare him because he loved us. And God will look at you and say, not, did you succeed, but did you try?
Here, here.
That was written by Henry Hyde. In the words of St. Paul, I have fought the good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. At this time, it looks very much as though Sandy Cole has won renomination as our state representative, and I congratulate her on her victory. I set out on this campaign because I wanted to give Republican voters a choice. The choice to vote for a candidate for state representative who actually held to Republican values and subscribed to the Republican platform, most especially with regard to its most important elements, the defense of life and traditional family structures. By that standard, this campaign is a success. It succeeded on October 26th when I qualified for a place on the ballot. After that, the rest has just been icing on the cake. And as another fat guy used to say, how sweet it is. We've gone much farther than anyone expected. We've done far more than anyone, including me, could have hoped. We have gone up against an incumbent with much more money, much more name recognition, much more party support than we could have ever hoped to match. And we've given as good as we got, or better. If we've come up short, I think it must be because of one or a combination of three reasons. First, it may be that we failed to get the word out that Sandy Cole is a social liberal and that Paul Mitchell is a social conservative. There may have been folks who would have voted for me if only they knew Sandy's positions better than mine. Or perhaps it could be that Republican voters got that word, but preferred the social liberal for whatever reason. Or just maybe, and I have to face this possibility, people got the word, they preferred a social conservative, but they found Paul Mitchell to be an unacceptable choice as that social conservative.
No!
But I can tell you what's not a reason why we lost. We did not lose for a lack of good, dedicated, energetic volunteers. Thank you all. I probably can't list everybody I should be thanking, but I have to try. Ortelia Ordelian, Lynn Thomas, Lenny and Lisa Jarrett, Paula and Teresa Emerith, Mike and Evie Murphy and their whole family, Tony and Katie Bennett and his whole family, Mark and Joy Koval and their whole family, Tom and Marilyn Versul, Ed Harrigan, Henry Petrikis, Peter Karlovics, Ken Arnold, Bonnie Quirk, Irene Napier, Jim Edwards and Jesse DeSplinter, Fred and Sandy Dempsey and their whole family, Joe and Carol Walsh, Bruno Barron, Adam Angievsky, Joe and Helena Walsh, Randy White, Ray and Doreen True, Don Castella, Jack Martin, Tom Weber, Dorian Bolio, Glenn Garamoni, Jill and John and Jill Booz, all my donors from 12 different states, but especially Timothy Rayburn and my father, Robert Mitchell. I'm also very grateful to the army of people across the country who've been praying for this campaign. I can't help but think that that made an important difference, and I'd be negligent if I failed to thank all of the people and organizations who endorsed this candidacy, and a few people whose names I can't mention that have been quietly giving me support and advice and encouragement throughout this process. Of course, I cannot fail to mention the unflagging patience, support, and encouragement that I was blessed to receive from my wife, Carrie. Through it all, she has been in my corner, cheering me on. Like a knight in a medieval tournament, I have carried her favor throughout this battle. And I know that her support and understanding have never flagged, no matter how bad it might have all sometimes looked. So thank you, Carrie. I'll be able to get some of those things around the house that need to be taken care of. Finally, although this is the end of this campaign, it is not the end of Paul Mitchell's involvement in politics. And I hope it will not be the end of yours. I still believe that the Republican Party is the natural home of conservatism and of conservatives. And if liberals have invaded our home and taken it over, it's because we've let them, and we must do what it takes to take it back, no matter how long it takes. That is the goal that I'll be working for, either as a candidate, in a future race, or in some other role. I hope you'll join me in that. In the meantime, I'll be choosing the best candidates in the general to work for, and I have many new skills to bring to bear, and I think so do many of you. Again, I say thank you to all of you for your support. It's meant more to me than I can say, and to paraphrase Shakespeare, I should be but little grateful if I could say how much. Thank you all.